down in the cobbled lanes of Northampton, where the air still carried the faint tang of leather and polish from generations past. Edith and Harold Beaumont had spent their lives crafting shoes. At 78 and 80, we'd run our little family workshop for over 5 decades, stitching soles and uppers by hand, making bespoke pairs for the locals, and the odd Londoner who wandered in. Retirement came quietly last year, when we finally closed those heavy doors, but it left us with a bit of savings, and a longing for something new. That's when Harold spotted the advert for a 14-night Mediterranean cruise, Barcelona right through to Venice, on a grand ship called the Aurora Dawn. Our first time on anything bigger than the cross-channel ferry. I remember chuckling as we boarded in Southampton, suitcases in hand, feeling that flutter of excitement we thought we'd left behind years ago. Oh, the ship was something else, a floating marvel, all gleaming decks and corridors humming with the chatter of other retirees, mostly fellow Brits like us, swapping tales over afternoon tea. I couldn't stop staring at the atrium's soaring glass ceiling, sunlight dancing on the marble, while Harold studied those clever stabilizers keeping the whole vast thing steady on the swells. Our cabin was cozy, with a little balcony looking out over the sea's shifting blues. The first days, sailing toward Gibraltar, felt like a gentle unwinding. We tried shuffleboard with a lively lot from Yorkshire, laughed through trivia nights where my knowledge of old cobbling tools left everyone stumped, and savored dinners where the menu changed with every port, like turning pages in a favorite book. But even amid all that wonder, a small niggle began to creep in. The excursions in the brochure weren't quite living up to the promise. It started subtly, in Cartagena. The tour bus arrived late, herding us through crowded markets like sheep, and the guide rushed past those ancient ruins without a moment for questions. Harold grumbled over breakfast the next morning, his tea going cold. "We paid good money for this," he muttered, reminding me how we'd scrimped on new machines back home just to afford a trip like this now. I nodded, tracing my finger down the ship's glossy newsletter, full of pretty photos, but short on the real details. By Rome, the pattern was clear: overbooked shuttles, hidden fees for the premium views, meals ashore that tasted more reheated than fresh. Other passengers whispered the same complaints in the lounge, forming little circles of shared disappointment. But Harold and I, practical as ever from years of measuring feet so precisely, we decided to keep proper notes. I pulled out my old notebook, the one I'd used for sketching shoe designs, and began jotting it all down: times, costs, the little discrepancies from the itinerary. Harold, steady as he'd always been with suppliers, went to the guest services desk. "Not complaining for the sake of it," he said calmly, laying out the facts like laying out leather patterns. Word spread quietly among the silver-haired crowd. Soon others joined us, adding their own stories, of missed sunsets from delayed returns, or wine tastings that weren't quite up to scratch. The staff offered fixes, a complimentary drink here, an apology there, but we pressed gently for more, emailing the cruise line from the onboard library, attaching our photos of those overcrowded tenders bobbing in choppy Sicilian waters. As the cruise curved toward Dubrovnik's walled shores, the journey shifted, from mere sightseeing to something quieter, more purposeful. The wonders carried on, the azure coves of Croatia, the spice-scented bazaars in Athens, but so did our resolve. One evening under a canopy of stars on the upper deck, Harold and I sat with our new friends, toasting with smuggled tea bags. "It's like fixing a wonky heel," I said, my voice warm against the night breeze. "You spot the flaw, then mend it properly." Our complaints came together in a group letter, signed by 24 of us, handed over at the captain's reception. The response came quicker than we'd expected: refunds for the affected tours, upgraded amenities for the final stretch to Venice, and a promise to look at their policies properly. When we disembarked in Venice, with gondolas gliding past like old memories, Harold and I felt the trip's true gift. Not just the postcard views, but the quiet spark of standing up together after all those years of steady craftsmanship. Back in Northampton now, we share the tales over pub lunches, our cruise photos mixed with that formal reply letter framed on the wall. It wasn't a flawless voyage, but in its little imperfections lay the real adventure. Two old shoemakers discovering that even on vast seas, a measured voice could steady the course. And online, in those cruise forums, our story still ripples out, a gentle nudge for others to pack a bit of patience alongside their passports.